Krisis pengungsi di Timur Tengah mengundang perhatian dan bantuan dari seluruh dunia, termasuk juga dari Amerika Serikat. Di New Jersey ada organisasi nirlaba bernama Educating for Justice yang membantu para pengungsi dari Timur Tengah untuk memulai hidup baru di Amerika. Kita akan berbincang dengan Jim Keady, direktur dari Educating for Justice yang sebelumnya juga pernah melakukan berbagai aksi kemanusiaan di Indonesia selama 14 tahun. Halo, selamat pagi dari Jakarta. Good morning, Jim.
Selamat pagi.
Yeah, Jim, could you tell us briefly, share with us your experience when you visit Lesbos in Greece last December?
Sure. So in December and January, I made trips to Lesbos, went for approximately 24 days. And when I was there, I did direct aid and advocacy for the refugees there. So on any given day, I could be helping refugees get off of the boats. I could be helping to provide them with food, clothing, shelter. Could be doing security at the refugee camps there that are being run by all volunteer organizations from small NGOs all around the world. And then I was also doing citizen journalism. I was trying to educate as many Americans as I could about the realities that are going on the ground. Now, as the United States, we bear a tremendous amount of responsibility, I believe, for the refugee crisis that we're currently seeing. This is the largest refugee crisis we've seen since World War II. The three main countries that refugees are coming from, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. In two of those countries, we have been at war for almost 15 years. With regard to Syria, we destabilized that region, and you now have a situation where you have a triangulation of forces with Assad's forces, with the Free Syrian Army, and with ISIS that has moved in. It's an absolute death trap for everyday citizens, and they are just trying to escape and find some sort of semblance of peace and to be able to build a new life. And I was very proud to be part of the international contingent of volunteers and NGOs that stood on those shores of Lesbos and welcomed those refugees with a smile, with a warm set of clothes, with dry shoes, and with hope for a future.
Okay, Jim, do you think the United States has done enough to help absorbing the refugees in general, also in terms of giving assistance to reduce the humanitarian crisis that's going on right now?
No, the United States efforts with regard to this particular refugee crisis has been an abject failure. We have done very little in terms of providing direct aid, financial aid on the front lines of the crisis. I sat in on a meeting with the mayor of Lesbos, along with representatives from our State Department, from the Embassy, and from the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And I could tell you, having sat in meetings like that when I used to be an elected official, that our government has zero commitment right now to providing direct bilateral financial aid to help ameliorate some of the suffering that is going on with regard to this crisis. In terms of allowing refugees to come to the United States, we've only had about 1,700 Syrian refugees come in since October of 2014. In my home state of New Jersey, we've only settled 92 refugees, and that's the 9th largest state in terms of the refugee population for Syrians in all of the United States. I think only 26 states have settled refugees. We are failing miserably with regard to the largest refugee crisis since World War II.
All right, Jim, from your answer, I got the impression that the U.S. government has done very minimal to help this crisis. But what about the U.S. citizen in general? Are they even aware that we are having this refugee crisis going on at this moment? And what do they think about it?
Yeah, the awareness among everyday citizens is growing on a daily basis. On my Twitter feed, on my Facebook feed, I'm constantly seeing stories that are being posted by Americans. Americans are sharing the stories that I post on a regular basis. So I think there is a grassroots uprising and a swell of support that's growing to push our government to do more to end this refugee crisis. So I think the American citizens, everyday Amerians, want to see a solution to this crisis, want the United States to do more, both politically and in terms of direct aid to the refugees, and that gives me a lot of hope. I'm very excited that in this current political cycle that we have in the United States, in this presidential race that we have, that more and more people are getting involved at the grassroots level, and things like providing aid for refugees is something that's going to be on, it'll be on the agenda of the majority of Americans who just want our country to do the right thing. And the right thing to do in the short term is to provide the humanitarian aid necessary to ensure that the basic needs of the refugees are met. And then in the long term, for us to have a real commitment to a political solution in that region that unfortunately we are part of the root causes that helped destabilize that region and created the crisis to begin with.
Okay, thanks so much for sharing with CNN Indonesia, Jim Keady. Thanks for your time.